Hey guys, it's Paul, and this is my country presentation on Russia. So we'll get started. So we'll start off with location. So Russia is located partly in Eastern Europe and partly in Northern Asia, and it actually borders the Arctic Ocean to the north. It's actually the largest country in the world at 6.6 million square miles, and it also borders 16 different countries. So here's a picture showing the general surroundings. We can kind of see all the different borders of all the different countries it goes to. So country overview. So the current population is 146 million people. The currency is a Russian ruble. The official language is Russian, but there are over 100 minority language and dialects that are still spoken today. Um, and then for religion, um, it's actually home to many religions, but it's about 75% Christianity through the Russian Orthodox Church, and Islam is followed by 5% of the population, and then Buddhism, Judaism, Protestantism, and Catholicism each have 1% of the population. And then another 1% of Russians follow other religions, and then the other 8% are actually atheists. The GDP is $1.7 trillion as of 2019. The country's capital is Moscow, which is actually located in western Russia, and it's actually the most populated city of Russia. So, political economy and system. So, Russia is a mixed economy, which combines aspects of both capitalism and socialism. It allows for a level of economic freedom, but provides an opportunity for the government to interfere in different economic activities. Um, in 1991, the USSR had collapsed due to several reasons. There was internal weaknesses of the political institutions, and they used much of its resources in maintaining nuclear military arsenals. And not to mention, corruption was pretty rampant. And within that, there was a command economy, which is where a central government makes all economic decisions. The government also owns monopoly businesses, sets priorities for the production of all goods and services, and they also created all the laws. Um, Russia is the third largest producer of oil worldwide, and the gas industry is the largest element of the Russian economy. The government actually owns the oil and gas industries. Gazprom is Russia's state-owned gas company, and it owns the world's largest gas reserves. And then it's believed that Russia's economy is controlled by a small circle of powerful oligarchs. Um, they own or manage most important Russian businesses. President Vladimir Putin doesn't control the oligarchy, but instead mediates their competing interests. But Russia supplies 30% of Europe's oil and 40% of its natural gases. In the past, Russia has been a little bit aggressive with their pipeline politics to get its way. For example, back in 2006, Putin actually cut off gas supplies to Ukraine because there were some issues with some debt that was owed to them. And another thing is Russia is also a member of the WTO, which is the World Trade Organization. It's the only international organization dealing with the global rules of trade. So, economic status and development. So, the services industry is the most important sector of the economy. Includes a wide variety of economic activities. Such as tourism, healthcare services, marketing, retail sales, household goods. Um, but the second largest industry in Russia is the industrial sector, which is comprised of a few different activities as far as construction, manufacturing, electricity, and mining. Um, and mining is actually one of the largest and most important, and also the extraction, production, and the sale of petroleum products. And it's actually the most profitable economic activity so far. Post-pandemic, Russia was on its way towards integration into the world's economy and stable economic development. Actually, the COVID-19 pandemic has plunged the global economy into its deepest recession since World War II. So it's gotten pretty bad this past year. So cultural values. It was kind of interesting learning about all this stuff, but a few ones that were worth pointing out. So it's important to remove both your coat and your shoes when entering someone's home. Another thing is to bring a small gift when you attend somebody's home. So, for example, like flowers are very well received, but they need to be an odd number. Um, so I guess the even numbers are associated with burials. And then yellow flowers in the household are considered bad luck. Um, and another thing too, Russians eat in the European fashion of placing the knife in the right hand and the fork in the left. They generally eat with the wrists resting on the table because it's important that hands should be seen at all times. And then another thing is when entering a place of worship, women should cover their head and shoulders. And then many churches will not allow men or women in if they're actually wearing shorts. They have to wear pants. Um, Global business opportunities. So, business leadership in Russia is transitioning from people raised in the Soviet era to people raised post-Soviet. So this means there's a shift in attitudes that affects many of the facets of the country. Um, but the communist era is not completely gone. It's definitely going away. But one thing that's been noticed is government officials are becoming more friendly and more courteous. Um, and companies now are more competitive and they're focusing on productivity and efficiency. Um, Another thing is the workforce is very well educated now. They're actually second only to Canada for the highest percentage of population with post high school education. Um, Russia does have a large economy, and the cost of labor in Russia is not cheap compared to many Asian countries, but it's definitely a bargain against any Western European alternatives. And that's it for opportunities. One thing I wanted to point out for a challenge was corruption. So many companies will encounter bribery, and a lot of the anti-corruption laws are poorly enforced. So recent news. So I was able to find a few interesting articles. The first one was China and Russia officials meet and show of unity against the European Union. Basically, the foreign ministers of China and Russia came together, and they both rejected outside sniping at their authoritarian political systems, and they said they were working to further global progress and issues from climate change to the coronavirus pandemic. And another thing tying to the pandemic is the impact of COVID-19 itself to Russia. So, as far as the reports, it was actually delayed for the virus to get to Russia compared to its neighboring European countries. But unfortunately, it did affect their economy severely. As far as the response to the outbreak, it's been kind of inconsistent. They did impose many restrictions that were quite severe. For example, like people couldn't leave their homes for emergency medical care. They can only do it for emergency medical care and or shop for food or take out the garbage. And one other article I found was actually China and Russia have agreed to come together to build a research station on or around the moon, um, basically setting the stage for a new space race. So they'll be able to use all their experience in space science research to come together to formulate a route map for the construction. And that is my project, and here are my sources. Thanks, guys.